The day my husband accused me of cheating, I didn't cry, I didn't scream, and I didn't defend myself. I just asked one question. Who told you? Because at 72 years old, after 43 years of marriage, men don't suddenly invent accusations like that. They repeat what they've been told, and in that moment, I realized something terrifying. Someone had been telling my husband a story about me for a very long time, and the worst part, he believed every word of it. My name is Margaret Russell. I am 72 years old, and I spent 43 years building a life with a man who one day looked at me like I had betrayed him without ever asking me the truth. It happened on an ordinary afternoon. The kind of afternoon that doesn't warn you it's about to change your life. I was in the kitchen folding dish towels, a small, quiet routine I had done thousands of times before. The house was calm, too calm. That's when he walked in. He didn't greet me, didn't ask how I was, didn't even pretend things were normal. He just placed a set of papers on the table, divorce papers. For a moment, I thought it was a mistake, a misunderstanding. Something we would talk through like we always had. But then I looked at his face, and I knew this wasn't confusion, this was conviction. I know everything, he said. Those 3 words felt heavier than anything I had heard in years. Then tell me, I replied calmly. What exactly do you think you know? He hesitated, just for a second, and that hesitation told me something important. He hadn't seen anything. He had only been told. There's someone else, he said finally. You've been seeing him? I let the silence sit between us, because sometimes silence reveals more than words ever could. There is no one else, I said, but he didn't react, didn't question, didn't doubt. Because he had already decided what the truth was. That's when I looked past him toward the living room wall, and there she was, his mother, smiling down at us from her framed photograph, watching. Even after all these years, she still had a way of being present in our home, not loudly, not directly, but always effectively. She warned me about you, my husband said quietly. Of course she did. I closed my eyes for a moment, and suddenly the past 2 years came rushing back. The questions. Where were you this morning? Why didn't you answer your phone? Who were you talking to? At the time, I thought it was concern, maybe stress, maybe age. I answered everything, calmly, honestly, without hesitation, because I believed something simple. Truth doesn't need defending. I was wrong because I wasn't answering questions. I was feeding doubt, and someone else was shaping it. Carefully, quietly, patiently. My mother-in-law had never liked me, not openly, not in a way anyone could point at, but in small ways, subtle ways, comments that sounded harmless, but stayed in your mind longer than they should. Margaret has been going out more lately. She's on her phone a lot these days. Strange how people change when they get older. At the time, they sounded like observations. Now I understood what they really were, seeds. And my husband had been watering them. I looked at him again, this man I had spent my entire life with. Did you ever ask yourself why? I said quietly. He frowned. Why I would suddenly do something like that after 43 years? He didn't answer. Because doubt doesn't need logic. It only needs repetition. And someone he trusted had been repeating the same story over and over again, until it became truth in his mind. I trusted her, he said finally. I nodded slowly. Yes, I replied, I know. And in that moment, I understood something painful. I wasn't fighting an accusation. I was fighting a belief. And beliefs are much harder to break. But what my husband didn't know, what his mother never expected, was this. If you push someone innocent far enough, they stop defending themselves, and they start looking for answers, real answers. And when I finally did, I found something small, something hidden, something she never thought I would notice. Because sometimes the person who creates the lie leaves behind the very proof that can destroy it. And I was about to find hers. I didn't try to convince him. That would have been a mistake. Because when someone already believes a lie, truth sounds like an excuse. So instead of arguing, I did something unexpected. I became quiet. Not the kind of silence that comes from weakness. The kind that comes from thinking, watching, listening, because if someone had built a story about me, then somewhere there had to be evidence of how they built it, and I knew exactly where to start. Our house had always been simple, predictable, nothing hidden, nothing complicated. At least that's what I used to believe. That night after my husband went to bed, I stayed awake, not crying, not breaking, just remembering. Every comment his mother had made over the past 2 years, every concern, Every small observation that had slowly turned into suspicion. She's been going out more. She's on her phone a lot. She seems different. At the time, I ignored them. Because after 43 years, you don't expect someone to quietly destroy your life from the inside. But now, I wasn't ignoring anything. I got up slowly and walked toward the living room. Her photograph was still there. Same soft smile, same calm expression. If someone walked in, they would think she was harmless. But I had lived long enough to understand something. The most dangerous people don't look dangerous. They sound reasonable. I turned away and walked toward her old room. After she passed away, we never changed it. My husband said it felt wrong. Now I understood why. He hadn't let go of her, and she had never let go of control. The door creaked softly as I pushed it open. The room smelled faintly of lavender. Old, still, everything was exactly as she had left it. Neatly folded clothes, organized drawers, a perfectly made bed, and on the side table her phone. My heart slowed because suddenly something clicked. All those observations she used to make, they weren't guesses. They were details. Specific details, details she couldn't have known unless she was watching or recording. I picked up the phone slowly, old model, still charged. I pressed the screen, unlocked, no password, of course. She had never expected anyone to look. I opened the messages first, nothing unusual, family chats, old conversations. Then I opened the photos. At first, it looked normal. Pictures of the house, the garden, random things. But then I saw something, a photo of me taken from across the street. I froze, I swiped. Another photo, me sitting in a cafe, another. Me talking to a man. I felt my chest tighten, because suddenly I understood everything. The man in the photos was the pharmacist. The same man I had been speaking to about my medication for months. Harmless conversations, short, routine. But from a distance, from the right angle, it looked like something else. And she knew that. My fingers moved faster now. More photos, different days, different angles. Each one carefully taken, carefully selected, not to show the truth, but to suggest something else. A story, the story my husband now believed. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what I found next. A folder, hidden, named simply Proof. My hands went cold. Because in that moment, I knew something. This wasn't suspicion. This was planning. And whatever was inside that folder was going to show me exactly how she turned my life into a lie. I stared at the folder for a long moment. Proof. Such a simple word, such a dangerous one, because people don't question proof. They trust it, they believe it. They build decisions on it. Slowly, I opened it. Inside were videos. My hands tightened around the phone. I pressed play on the first one. It was me, standing outside the pharmacy, talking to the same man. But this time, it was different. The video was edited, shortened, cut. The part where I walked in and out quickly, removed. The part where I laughed politely, repeated. And then the angle, it looked close, too close, like something it wasn't. My stomach dropped. This wasn't misunderstanding. This was manipulation. I opened another video. This one was worse. It showed me sitting at a cafe, the same pharmacist across from me, but the video started mid-conversation. Cut out context, cut out distance, cut out reality, left only suggestion. I closed the video slowly. Now I understood. She hadn't lied. She had done something far more dangerous. She had shown the truth in a way that looked like a lie, and my husband had believed it because it looked real. I stood there in the quiet room, holding the phone, feeling something inside me change. Not anger, clarity, because for the first time I wasn't confused anymore. I knew exactly what had happened. And more importantly, I knew exactly what to do. The next morning, I didn't argue, I didn't explain, I didn't defend myself. I made breakfast, just like I had done for 43 years. My husband sat across from me. Silent, distant. Sit, I said calmly. He frowned slightly. We need to talk. That got his attention. I placed the phone on the table. I think you should see something, I said. He looked at it, then at me. What is this? Your proof, I replied quietly. He hesitated, then picked it up. I watched his face as he pressed play. First video, confusion. Second video, tension. Third video, something changed. His eyes slowed. His expression shifted. Because this time, he wasn't watching what he had been told to believe. He was watching carefully. He was seeing the cuts, the angles, the missing pieces. He was thinking, and doubt finally was turning in the right direction. He lowered the phone slowly. This, he said quietly, this isn't what I thought it was. No, I replied, it isn't. Silence filled the room, heavy, real. Where did you get this? He asked. I looked at him steadily. From the person who gave it to you? His face changed. Not anger, realization, slow, painful. My mother, he whispered. I didn't answer. Because sometimes truth doesn't need confirmation, it just needs space to settle. He sat there for a long time, not speaking, not moving, 43 years of trust meeting one moment of truth. I didn't question it, he said finally. No, I replied softly. You didn't. He closed his eyes. I thought I knew you, I nodded. You did. Another silence, different this time, honest. I'm sorry, he said, two simple words, but after everything they felt very small. I know, I said, and I meant it. But forgiveness is not the same as forgetting. Weeks later, the divorce papers were gone, but something else was gone too. The certainty, the innocence, the version of us that existed before doubt entered the room. We stayed in the same house. But it felt different, quieter, more careful, because once trust is broken, even when it's repaired, it never sounds the same. Sometimes in the evening, I sit in the living room and look at her photograph on the wall, still smiling, still calm. And I think about something I learned too late. Not all damage is done with anger. Some of it is done quietly, patiently, by someone who knows exactly how to be believed. But in the end, there's one thing stronger than any lie: truth. Even if it takes time, even if it hurts, it always finds its way back. And when it does, it doesn't just expose the lie, it reveals who was willing to believe it.